the quintessential, the typical situation in books, in movies, damsel in distress, knight in shining armor, छेड़छाड़ की लड़की के साथ एक
Like,
ही मैन आ गया, चार लोगों को पिटाई
yeah.
की, लड़की को बचा लिया, एंड द गर्ल इज वेरी थैंकफुल. बहुत सी मूवीज में प्यार भी ऐसे ही शुरू हो जाता है. व्हाई नॉट नाइट, व्हाई नॉट damsel in shining armor, you know, protecting a so-called knight. No, why the situations cannot be reversed?
Hello, book nerds. Welcome to Book Nerds official podcast. Whether you are a reader or a writer or someone who just love listening to podcasts about book, you are at the right place. Here we discussed the best books and speak with authors from across the globe. So today we will be discussing Hard as Nails by Vipul Kulshreshtha, which features Anushka Singh, the female protagonist who is bold, who is fierce, and who knows how to stand up for herself. This is a story about her self discovery and her belief in her dreams and in herself as a person. We will be discussing with the author about how he came up with this character and what was his whole thought process while writing the novel, and also what place he considers as his own century. I know you want to know about that. So, this podcast will be posted on the Book Nerds official podcast channel. So, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Now, just move on to the next part.
Hello, Vipul ji. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me on this podcast. You know, thanks to Bookners, thanks to you. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure talking to various people on this platform. So, uh, thanks a lot.
No, sir, it's our pleasure to host you. So, let's just directly dive into about your new book, which is Hard as Nails. So, on first of all, I would like to again give you a compliment for that. Like the character you portrayed, Anushka Singh, the character is so much relatable to every single girl. I can say on the behalf of whole, the girls team, girl, whatever you can say, we can relate to at every single point. Be it the stereotypical father thing that, yeah, we will marry you off after 12, या फिर आप ले लो उसके बाद fighting, bullying, not getting, the value in the male-dominated fields. Everything is very relatable. And I will talk about one twist that I found it very, bit shocking, not very, later on. But first of all, I would like to start. I want to ask the Anu's character. So, if the character is based on real life, or is it someone you chose? You made the character so that you want every single girl to be like her, like everyone should be inspired by it. So, I would like to know your thoughts on that.
No, no, it's not a real character. It is a character that I wanted the younger generation to relate to. You know, I wanted the younger generation to read the book, and once you finished reading the book, many of the girls I wanted them to get inspired that if she can do it, I can do it too. You know, unfortunately, in literature, both less in the in English literature and by writers abroad. In Indian, as far as the Indian writers are concerned, the quintessential Indian woman or a girl is always portrayed as that epitome of sacrifice and docile and all forgiving and undergoing a lot of pain, undergoing a lot of humiliation, and generally a saga of a woman protagonist is filled with all these things. Most of the writers. It is changing now uh, to some extent, but not enough is being done. And that kind of sort of always disgusted me, because not all Indian women are like that. Indian and especially my generation, while growing up, all the women around me were not at all like that. They were strong, independent, strong-willed people who didn't take bullshit from anybody, who were very clear about their goals and worked hard to achieve them. And I wanted my protagonist to be like that, real, strong, independent, and besides, when you see the evils in the society, the treatment being meted out to the women and the female gender in general, the argument that is given is that they are physically weaker and that they are biologically designed to be submissive. So I think that is all a whole lot of hogwash. Maybe they are physically or biologically weaker, but that can be compensated, and that is what I wanted to highlight, that girls and women should know self-defense. And when it comes when it comes to an unsafe situation, they should be able to, take on the challenge, fight for what they believe in. And now, when we normally they say women are mentally very strong, women are emotionally very strong, but they may be physically weaker, but that can be compensated by training. That can be compensated by know-how. If they know the vulnerabilities of a male body,
Mm.
they can attack. They can take care of themselves. They can protect themselves.
Yeah, because
Apart from aspiring for high positions and working hard to reach there, I thought one part. This part is also something that had to be highlighted by writers, and I've tried
yeah,
to
that
do that. I don't know how much I've been successful, but
no.
I've tried to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I can say, as I said before, that on the behalf of whole team, the whole kingdom of females, I can say that you have portrayed it so well. Even though the things, the incidents that were happening with Anushka, be it with her family, be it in her working space, be it general, generally, I can say. So, what I resonated the most with was how she was able to fight it every single situation. And as you said, you tried to, inspire the younger generation कि हर लड़की को defense आना चाहिए. Every girl should know how to fight. I can vouch for that. Like every single girl. After reading the whole book, at the end, I was so there was this different kind of energy. I don't know what I was feeling that, oh my God, if she can, everyone can. वो भी किसी दूसरे बैकग्राउंड से आई थी शी वांटेड टू स्टडी शी वेंट शी पुट हरसेल्फ आउट कि नहीं मुझे शादी नहीं करनी आई वांट टू स्टडी आई वांट टू वर्क एंड एट द लास्ट शी इज ओनर ऑफ अ बिग कंपनी so anything can happen and girls can do that I think better I think.
And the quintessential, the typical situation in books, in
Mhm.
movies, damsel in distress, knight in shining armor, छेड़छाड़ की लड़की के साथ एक
Like,
ही मैन आ गया,
um,
चार लोगों को पिटाई
yeah.
की, लड़की को बचा
Mhm.
लिया, एंड द गर्ल इज वेरी थैंकफुल. बहुत सी मूवीज में प्यार भी ऐसे ही शुरू हो जाता है. Why that?
Mhm.
Why
I,
not a knight? Why not a damsel in shining armor? Protecting a so-called knight.
yeah,
Why
that
the
can make
situations
a
cannot be reversed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
So
can make a
that
good book title. That you said, na, Damsel in Shining Armor. That is a great title for your next book. You can use that.
damsel
That
in
is
shining
great.
armor.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, there was in the last few pages there was this line which kind of I was torn between it. I don't know how to feel about it exactly. So I want to know your views personally when you were writing. So there is this line: matters of heart are different from nature of matters of growing. They need not to be connected. So I would like to, put your thoughts on it. What do you think
Yeah,
personally?
because I know of and it has been amply publicized in the magazines, in newspapers, that there are couples where uh, both the male and the female knows that the other one has other leanings. The wife many a times knows that the husband goes for boys, he's gay, but they have a successful and loving marriage. They raise children, and so so that prompted me to uh, think of this character and think of this situation where you know the sexual preference is not the end all and be all of a relationship. The matters of the heart are matters of the heart. They are related to the heart. They are related to your feelings. They are related to your emotions. Matters of the flesh, the attraction, as far as the sexual attraction is concerned, is in no way related to uh, if you take the example of brothels. A person goes and pays and has sex as physical intimacy. There is no emotional involvement there. It is just a plain transaction. It is just a satisfaction of biological need. If they were so intertwined, then this would not be possible. That's why that line, that
Um,
matters of the heart
matters are
are not
different
related to
from.
matters of the brain. They can
Yeah.
independently flourish.
Hmm. I love that idea actually. As as a reader myself, we read fictions, we read fantasy books or something from uh, international authors. We see these things like they are doing it very like for a long time now in real life and as well in books. So when I read this line, I was bit, taken aback that okay, I'm reading this from an Indian author. Oh, that happens, I can
Author,
say.
yeah,
Yeah.
these
Yeah. It was a bit
these type of relationships and these type of
yeah.
uh,
Hmm. Because we've been
situations
so
are
huh.
swept under the carpet. They
Yes,
are
yes,
the
exactly.
classic taboo,
Exactly.
not
In
to be
every household.
visited.
Yeah, in every household, I can say कि बात ही नहीं की जाती. This is a very big thing. Even if I like discuss with my parents this life, they will kick me out right away that
Yeah.
you can go. Yeah. So, okay. So, and I would like to talk about the twist now. As I think last two chapters, I can say how when Anushka marries JD. Okay, from the JD. So I was so happy कि finally she's in love. Finally she got someone who cares for her. And then when I read JD like expresses that he is gay, of course I was I can't even put it into words. ऐसा हो गया था मन की it there is still because I thought they won't be able to find a middle ground for this as per my thinking. But when I read by the end, so it was, I think, okay for them because Anushka also had a toy boy, which really knows already. So that was very smart thinking, I can say, on the part of writing. Very smart. Getting the reader feeling like this that is very good.
Yeah, see, it's very common for men, successful
Mm.
men or ambitious
Mm.
men, to have a mistress. or
Yeah.
a,
We have all
a
before.
girlfriend or a clandestine girlfriend on the side. But it is frowned upon or not viewed properly if a female, a successful, ambitious female,
Hmm.
keeps a toy boy. You know.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is also, the part where
so
you try to
why the
put that character.
hypocrisy? Why the
Yeah,
hypocrisy? Doesn't a
yes,
female have a
can have.
similar kind of similar kind of doesn't she have the right to have similar kind of choice? If she
I
wants to,
totally agree.
then why not? Why not?
I totally agree. I totally agree. So, moving on. So, I wanted to ask that how you will explain your writing style to someone. Like, suppose there is a non-reader who never reads. If I want to introduce him with your book, so how would you want me to, stress ki this is the type of writing, this is his writing style. I want to know that. आप personally अपने writing के बारे में क्या बोल रहे
मेरे राइटिंग स्टाइल के बारे
हैं? And what process goes behind that brain when you start writing? What is your process? I want to know that.
में see, I've written two books on Hindi poetry also, and 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 this is my second book in English. You know, Hindi poetry was this was the last one, Dil Ulfat Izhar, and the other one was Meri Rachna Dil Se, and the first book of English short stories was Missed Connections, and now Hard as Nails. So, so you know, uh, there's a difference between writing poetry and writing a novel or short stories. In a poetry, your thought process is very instantaneous. यानी एक ख्याल आया और आपने उसके ऊपर से एक कविता लिख दी, एक कोई कोई मंजर, कोई वाक्य, कोई ख्याल is sufficient to prompt you to write poetry. But that is not the case with writing a story, because in writing the story you first get the idea that okay, uh, aisa kuch, this is what something like this I'm going to write. And then when you get that idea, you uh, uh, you know fill it up with characters. Okay, ठीक है, ये मेरी प्रोटोगनिस्ट या मेरा प्रोटोगनिस्ट ये होगा, वो ऐसा दिखेगा, ऐसे कपड़े पहनेगा, ऐसे बात करेगा, हाँ, उसकी माँ ऐसी होगी, उसका बाप ऐसा होगा, his entire friend circle will be like this, who the other characters that come into the story or in the novel would look like this, think like this, speak like this. So, especially this time when writing a novel, uh, whole lot of whole lot of input on all fronts has to be put in. Like something very unrelated to the actual storyline or the actual path of the novel or the actual path of the story. Like the geography. Now you've based a story at a particular place. So how is that place? How are its people? How are the inhabitants? How the roads will be? How the surroundings will be? If it's a house, what will the house look like? So all those things have to be imagined and incorporated. Only then the story and the novel would have a soul. You know, otherwise it would be very very superficial. Uh, in a way, you can say very loosely. Of course, he's a great writer. I'm nowhere in front of him, but there used to be a writer your generation is not aware of. My generation were absolute fans of, and his name was Alistair MacLean. A whole lot of movies were made on his books, Ice Station Zebra and Guns of Navarone and Puppet on a Chain. A lot of Hollywood movies used to be made. In his books, in his novels, it was action based always. Lot of action and mardhad in his books. So suppose the action is taking place on a ship. So the first two pages of the book would have the entire diagram of the ship. Where's the engine room? Where is the officers bed? Where are the sailors' quarters? Where is the captain's quarter? Where is the turret of the gun that is mounted? And so, that facilitated the reader to read, and like there's a portion in that the protagonist enters the engine room and hits the guard over there on the head with a spanner. So you would, immediately turn the page and go to the diagram and see, oh, okay, this is how this is how he moved and this is how he entered and this is where the action is taking place. So, well, you know, writing and reading is all a game of imagination. It is the writer's imagination, and a good writer would be able to trigger your imagination, the reader's imagination. You know, one scenario is imagined by the author. Entire world is and characters are imagined by the author, visualized by the author, and put down on paper. Nowadays, not on the paper. Nowadays, uh, on the laptop or mobile, it is put down. And then when the reader reads it, his imagination will trigger a different scenario, his visualization, his interpretation of those characters, and his world from what he has read. And that is what writing is all about. I would say
Mm.
exchange of imagination.
That's a very great way to put it. Now, after listening to this, like, what's the process of writing?
Then
I can
somebody asked me,
see. Yeah.
somebody asked me, sir, when you write a poetry and when somebody is reading it, are they able to get the point that you are trying to put across? Are they able to fathom your feelings when they're reading it? I said a reader is not interested in what the writer's feelings were
Yeah.
or his thoughts were when he was writing that poem. When a reader reads it, his own feelings, own sensitivity, own emotions have to be
Mm.
triggered by that poem. He should be able to relate to it. Only then he will
Yeah.
enjoy it. And
Yeah. That's the
he is
point.
interested
Point.
in his involvement. He is interested in his or her
Mm.
own emotions. He is not at all
This,
interested in what the writer's mind was or
yeah.
emotions were or
True.
feelings were when the writer was
Mm.
writing. So that's what
Yeah.
writing is all about. That's the magic. That's the magic.
Yeah. Definitely magic. And I agree that while reading poetry, it's like I also love poetry. I've read so many. Like shairi, ghazals, everything. I do love them. So
Great.
when I read something by, let's say, Gulzar, John Elia, or Faz, so I always, even it's a line, even if they have written a single line somewhere, I always connect with it at किसी ना किसी पार्ट पे लाइफ के किसी ना किसी इंसान से I always connect. I think that's the beauty of poetry, that
Right.
the reader is able to connect one way or other. He or she will.
Like I was listening to an interview of R.D. Burman. So he said that poetry by Gulzar is the most difficult to put into music. He says his poetry
Mm.
doesn't have meter most of the time.
Yeah.
Like his poetry would be like तेरे बिना जिंदगी से कोई शिकवा नहीं, तेरे बिना मैं जिंदगी थी लेकिन जिंदगी नहीं, तुम जो कहते हो तो आज
Yeah.
की रात चांद डूबेगा नहीं. He said, now how do
Yeah.
I make a
Oh, out of it.
tune for it.
Hmm.
So he said I
Hmm.
used to put most of his poetry into music, and then remaining music, and then I used to ask Gulzar that now you write the remaining lines according to this tune.
No, that is the thing with Gulzar's poetry. I agree.
Yeah, so for him the thought, you know,
Hmm.
the thought is more important.
Yeah.
He's not into decorating it with
No.
meters and
Rhyming.
rhyme and yeah.
No, that I think most of इंडियन जो शायर्स हैं वो ऐसा करते ही नहीं है पोएम्स उनकी ऐसी ही मिलेंगी that they will spark something in you, evoke a emotion in you, and just that rhymings तो है ही नहीं उनके पास, it feels like that, but it is so beautiful. I can say,
No, but when
I think
they have rhyming, it is beautiful. Like my personal favorites are Gopal Das Neeraj and Sahir
uh,
Ludhianvi. और
हाँ जी.
जहाँ पे उन्होंने कुछ गानों में लाइनें लिखी हैं ब्यूटीफुल इट देन इट बिकम्स सो ब्यूटीफुल
That's the art. Putting it in a way कि वो इतना अच्छा लगे सुन के भी, rhyming में भी, and without rhyming is that is art ना. Okay, so sorry हम off topic हो गए थोड़ा सा.
हाँ
Let's
हम
come
जरा
back to
टेंशन
the
में
book.
थे
Let's come back to the book. So I have this last question for you. You have mentioned a word
today
that
actually sorry to interrupt today morning I
yes,
was
sure.
talking to my daughter and I said today I've got a video podcast interview. She says, Dad, don't go off on a tangent and keep elaborating on it. As long as you remain on the topic, you will be
Well,
okay.
we know what happened. Well, that's between the both
Yeah.
of us. Yeah. So as I was saying, so you have mentioned that even in the last paragraph, Anushka is, her nani's voice is ringing in her head that come to Wasimpur, and this is your century. That every person needs a place where वो शांत रह सके, nature से connect कर सके. Every single person has. So I want to know what is your century? What keeps you grounded?
Yeah. In some ways, it is related to a memory. My uncle is in Canada. He had brought his son to India to visit the family, which is normally the case. 70s, 80s, a lot of people went abroad. And then annually, once a year or once in 2 years, they would bring the family to India to meet the relatives. Normally people would gather at one place and then, meet them. So, but he had a son, must be about 3 years old, 4 years old, when he had come to India. And they had a whirlwind tour, थोड़ा घूमना फिरना भी था, लोगों से मिलना था, बहुत से लोगों से अलग-अलग जगह. And then they went back to Canada. And I was talking to him over the phone, and I asked him, how did Samir feel after he went back from India? So he said he went to his room and picked all his toys, put it on the bed, and just lay quietly in between them. So that image, of a child, going back to his room, his house, familiar surrounding, and just lying down, among the toys, then feeling so nice and peaceful and relieved. That image stuck in my mind, and that is how we all are, aren't we? It means uh, we may go abroad, we may go to another state or another town, another city for various reasons, sometimes for career, sometimes for something else. लेकिन अगर वो एक गांव का भी किसी गांव में या कस्बे में भी आपका छोटा सा घर घर है तो जब आप वहाँ पहुँचते हैं ना, बल्कि माय पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस तो जब गाड़ी उस एरिया में, उस डिस्ट्रिक्ट में या उस एरिया में पहुँचती है, तभी से अपनापन लगने लगता है कि हाँ, अब ये
हाँ,
घर आ गए,
या
ये घर आ गए।
ये होता है
अरे
सच में।
चाहे वो एक कोई कोने की परचून की दुकान ही हो जानी-पहचानी, वो देख के भी लगता है, हाँ,
हम्म।
अब घर आ गए। So it is
हाँ, ये होता
for everyone, their personal space, their home, their earth is a kind of a
है।
sanctuary. Sanctuary.
या आई वांटेड टू नो कि आपके लिए आपकी सेंचुरी क्या है? आपके लिए कौन सी ऐसी जगह होगी व्हेन यू फील एट पीस कि हाँ, यहाँ शांति मिलेगी मुझे, ऐसे?
नहीं, देखिए, जब तक as long as I was young and my parents were alive, तो वो जहाँ भी होते थे, तो that used to be my sanctuary. जो उनका घर होता था, वो मेरा घर होता था, एंड वहाँ पहुँचना, उनके साथ रहना, that was my sanctuary. Now, now I am 62. Both my parents are not there. I have made a home of my own here in Mumbai, and so far, now this is my sanctuary. But like nothing remains permanent in life. Uh, Bombay. Now I've been staying in this house since '99, and the building is very old. It will go in for redevelopment. When the building goes for redevelopment, it is totally demolished. And I will sometimes sit and wonder my children's memories, their childhood, my memories, and everything is tied up to this home of mine. तो जब ये redevelopment में जाएगा तो सब कुछ चकनाचूर हो जाएगा. but
आई थिंक
but
यू कांट डू
that's how
एनीथिंग।
life is.
दैट्स हाउ लाइफ है। उसमें तो आप कुछ कर नहीं सकते ना।
कर नहीं.
वो तो उन्हें करना ही पड़ेगा।
लेकिन
या
लेकिन जो इतने खुश नसीब हैं कि जिनकी कहते हैं कि आखिरी सांस तक एक जगह बनी रहती है, और अगर बनी नहीं रहती है तो बनानी चाहिए एक ऐसी जगह जहां तुम, where you go and you feel at peace with yourself. You feel that okay, when I'm here, the universe is in harmony, all is well with the world. You know that kind of place. You must have one. If you have not inherited one, you should make one.
या I used to think on this same topic, I used to think my century is going to somewhere in mountains. Always. I used to think because ऐसा होता है कि पहाड़ों में जाके I just like sit there in front of a view and that's it. I need nothing else. Nothing too luxurious. No, nothing. ये बहुत अच्छा होटल हो नहीं चाहिए मुझे ऐसा. I can camp. वो भी. And which is truly अब भी अगर मैं कहीं जाऊंगी पहाड़ों में तो मेरे लिए है. But फिर भी जो घर आते हैं ना जैसे कि लेट्स से मैं मनाली गई हूँ. मनाली से when I was coming back and the second I entered Delhi, I'm not even saying my village area. The second I entered Delhi, it felt something very warm, welcoming कि हाँ भाई ये है वो जगह कि घर पे ही आके होगा जो होगा चाहे मैं कितनी पहाड़ों में घूम जाऊँ. सो फॉर दैट आई थिंक फॉर मी इट्स माय ओन हाउस एज यू सेड. घर ही होता है उनमें सबका. आई फील दैट.
Yeah.
है ना. Yes.
See, many times I get claustrophobic in Bombay. Every few months I have to move out to some small place. We recently on the Konkan coast there's a beach area called Kashid. I was there, and कुछ नहीं है वहाँ पे. It's a new untouched beach. Only one resort and lot of uh, nature all around. So very uplifting that feeling is. लेकिन फिर भी 3-4 दिन के बाद में लगता है हो गया बहुत. I've got my dose of you know solitude.
लेट्स
Now
गो
back to the back to the hustle and bustle of the city.
होम.
Uh,
दैट
uh,
हैपेंस. you're anywhere, at last you will go to your home. At last you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Nahi, and
So,
same, like I've said, I mentioned in my book, the
mm,
morsel of food,
mm,
that not
mm,
only satisfies your physical but also your
mm,
spiritual thirst, your
mm,
spiritual hunger. So,
yeah,
many times you may have best of the cuisine outside, good food and all the variety, but your staple food, whatever it is, if it is a South Indian, is sambar chawal.
yeah,
If it is a North Indian, arer ki dal
mm,
chawal. When you
uh-huh,
finally come home, या
mm,
मक्के की रोटी एंड
yeah,
किन्हीं चीज का
dal.
अचार हम्म,
Yeah.
तो साग और सरसों का जो आप व्हेन यू कम बैक और घर पे व्हेन यू हैव
Mm,
दैट फूड यू नो वेरी
mm,
सिंपल फूड वो तुम
yeah.
एक अपने मुंह में डालते हो ना व्हेन यू पुट a morsel
Mhm.
of it in your mouth it really
Mm.
is not only a food which is going inside to satisfy your hunger it brings in
Deep
such immense
soul.
satisfaction
Yeah, it brings satisfaction to your soul. It's not just
so
satisfying my stomach. Yeah. That happened with me. I was, for a month, I was in Singapore. Yeah, in my bachelor's, I was there doing some sort of course. I don't even remember now. So I was there for 35 days. And there are very minimum options for us, like vegetarians. I am a pure vegetarian. I don't eat meat. So it was so hard to find something for a vegetarian. I used to eat limited food. Like these are fruits, this milk, and there was some Indian restaurants there. जिनका taste was nothing like equal to Indian food. कुछ भी यहाँ वाला taste वहाँ नहीं था. There were Indian restaurants, but नहीं मिला मुझे.
they
Then yeah,
they
I
use a
struggled
different
for a
oil. I think palm oil use करते हैं. So even the Indian
yeah.
dishes taste different.
It Yeah, वो नाम की इंडियन है बट नहीं आता वहाँ पे टेस्ट. देन आई केम बैक आफ्टर 36 डेज एंड आई लिटरली सेड टू माय मॉम कुछ नहीं बनाना दाल रोटी बहुत है. आई विल बी फाइन. मैं खुश हूँ दाल रोटी खिला देना प्लीज. एक
Yeah.
सोल फूड की जरूरत है. बहुत खा लिया मैंने सिंगापुर में. दैट्स द थिंग.
ऐसे ऐसे ही होता है.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to ask you about your book. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us, for sharing about the book and your thoughts with us. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
everyone, I'm on behalf of again the whole female feminarchy team that every girl should read this book. Every single girl. They will
Thank
love it.
you.
I'm sure. Yeah. Thank you.